what? Like, what
Well,
have you tried a
because
computer program that simulates a flat and showing what the distance is? Or, because if you simulate a sphere, you're not going to be able to make that work.
Listen. 5 minutes ago, and please I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say this, but 5 minutes ago I had to explain to you what a tangent line was. Now, if you don't know what a tangent line is, how can you debunk? How can you explain away?
I didn't say I didn't know what a tangent line is.
Okay, what's a tangent line?
Tell me what a tangent line is. I asked you what a tangent line was. I didn't say I know what a tangent line is.
Did you ask me because you knew, or
if I tell you? I asked you because I wanted you to explain it.
Okay.
And so far, like, I still don't see the relevance of it. Yeah.
Well, the relevance is geometrically there is no other physical shape that is possible to allow the northern celestial pole to be seen at the same angle in the sky as our latitude. I'm happy to move on, right? I'm happy to move on if you can say, all right, fair enough, you don't have an explanation for it. You're cool. So we can move on from that.
I'm not going to say that.
Have you got any more evidence? Or?
Okay, if you're just going to run the conversation and act like I'm saying shit that I'm not saying, like we can just fucking like go on with it, and I can talk over you too, dude. I'm trying to be straight up, fucking respectful, and all right, yeah, I accept it. Like I can answer your questions, bro. I just got to understand what you're really getting at. What you're really like trying to say is that it's for sure only going to be able to be done on a sphere, but I got to ask you, like, what tells you that? How are you coming to that conclusion? Do you have any sources you can cite that say that that's the only way it can happen? Or is that just something that you're saying? It's just something you're saying?
No, it's not something
I'm saying.
Okay,
I'll take a source.
I'll
take a source.
Yeah, of course, okay. So me saying that that is the only physical shape that would allow that to happen is me also. It's the same as me saying that the square of a hypotenuse is the same as the sum of the square of the other two sides of the triangle. It's just established fact. You can take how can I put it? There is nobody out there that doesn't understand what a tangent line is on a circle that would disagree with what I'm saying. It's established fact. It's like you asking me now to prove that planes have wings. I can't go and get a plane now and show, but we all know planes have wings and bananas are yellow, all right? And we all know that a tangent line is 90 degrees to a circle. Okay.
Yeah, I can show you a million videos and pictures and fucking how to build a plane. Like, I can prove that it has wings. Like you're just not. I'm asking for a source, bro. Like I know you got an opinion and I respect your opinion. I'm not even saying it's a bad opinion, bro. I just want to know. Where's the source? Because just because you're saying it isn't really impressing me. I want to know who else has said that.
Okay, literally any math.
I don't mean to say not impressing me. Like I'm just saying, Okay, one.
Well, it's not impressive maths. It's fairly basic. Like literally any maths book you will ever put your hands on will have that in there.
Great. What's the name of
any maths book? Anything to do with geometry?
Where's the one you got it from, dude?
Where's the one I got it from? Well, I've known this since I was about 10. I learned this at primary school about the tangents. But I'm a science teacher, so the maths books I use, and my wife's a maths teacher. I mean, I could run upstairs and wake her up and bring a maths book down. But let's move on to the next point because.
Wait, hold on. You're a science teacher? No, I don't want you to at all. I'm like right where you're at, bro. You're a science teacher?
I know. Well, yes. Not much longer.
Really? Like for what grade? Yeah, I bet. What grade?
Up to 11 to 18-year-olds. So I don't know what grade that is in America.
High school graduates, seniors. All right, that's cool. That's interesting, dude. That's props on that. But it's funny to me that a teacher would have taken the first point I made and not like take me to town over it, and then just go to the first point that you're making is going to be something that's completely just. I guarantee you, 99% of this audience has no idea what the fuck you're talking about. They might be saying that they do, but they're really not.
I do. I do. Just FYI, and I can guarantee probably 90%. I would say not upwards of 99 who's actually graduated second grade probably knows what he's talking about, actually. So I will throw that out there. I think it's pretty well ubiquitous that most people have a common understanding of things like Pythagoras' theorem and
that the sphere is the only object.
Like
No, it's not.
Yes. No,
but he's talking about that the sphere is the only place.
The model that he's using tangent lines which means you have. I'm gonna explain to you what a tangent line is because I think that people that already
straight
know
line
this,
against
but
the side of the circle.
It's on one point, right? Okay, so it's 90 degrees from the center of the circle, right? It's orthogonal. You have a orthogonal line come up like this, and you have a tangent line. So it's on one point. The only way that would work when you have parallel lines coming in this way, so we would see it from different places, is on a round Earth. We see it at the same height. Matter of fact, Malaysia is like 4 degrees north, if I'm not mistaken. So if you go below the equator and you're no longer on northern latitudes, you no longer can see it because you're no longer at a point where the parallel lines are coming down towards you because you're below that point. And I think that probably 99% of the entire audience probably does know that. If they don't, please let me know and we can continue down that line. But you want to go on a different line, Conspiracy Cast? Because I don't think he's quite...
I'll give it to you because I'm not gonna be a bitch about it, but honestly, I just don't.
Well,
whatever. Yeah, here, you get a point.
One apiece.
Go for it.
I gave you NASA, so it's one apiece. We're drawing.
There you go. 1-1. There you go. 1-1. Fair enough. There you go.
I do. I mean, if you've got something to show, if you've got something to show, then it's your turn. If not, do you want to show something, or do you want me to go on?
Well, I'd like to address Wolfie's answer to my challenge because that really has to do with the shape of the Earth, and there's no way getting around this one. So if everybody's ready, I'd like to address Wolfie and you and everybody else that's accusing me of reneging on my fucking challenge. And if that's okay with everybody, my time's shine. Yeah? Good. All right, so if we take a bunch of flight charts that are sectionals, say that there's the size of the FAA sectionals, which picture like L.A. and Chicago, that area, that small little section doesn't show any curvature, but you can piece them together and make a map of a state, and a map of a country, and then you can make a map of the world if you lay them all out. What the problem with Wolfie's latest video, where he actually did map that, right? I don't know if everybody's familiar with my challenge. The challenge is to fucking start at any place in the world, except for, any place in the world, travel from point A to point B. When you get to point B, make a 90-degree angle turn either way, and then travel the same distance you traveled from, travel straight lines, go the same distance you travel in the first one, second leg, and then when you get to the second, or point C, you're going to make your second turn. And then if you're on a ball, you should travel the same distance that you traveled the first two legs, and you'd be right back where you started. But if you map it on flight charts that are laid out into a big map, and it doesn't matter how, if you got the whole map of the world, which nobody's shown yet, but if you were to do that, let's say that we got down over here, right? I don't know if anybody can see this. I'm just going to try to do this real ghetto real quick. That's how I roll. Sorry. All right, so we got over here, this corner right here, let's see. All right, so we got this corner down here, right? If I can get up there. It's kind of hard. All right, right there's the first sectional you put, right? So we put another sectional, another sectional, another sectional, another sectional, another sectional, another sectional, and then we build up to the next one. Go all the way across, build up all the way from Antarctica all the way up to North Pole, right? So it's basically what would be a Mercator-style projection, but the only problem with that is when you lay out flight charts and you piece them together and they're stuck to the floor, let's say you glue them to the floor so that you're actually looking at a huge map of the Earth. When you start at the North or the South Pole in a Mercator map is going to be this entire bottom line of the map, right? Okay, well, if you lay out the sectional charts, that doesn't happen anymore. Now the South Pole is going to be at whatever flight chart that you actually have it pictured in. So if it's right here, let's say we got the South Pole actually pictured in this flight chart, and we've built up over here and built it all the way up. If we start right here, and we travel the way that Wolfie did, and then we make a turn, and we make another turn, that's the correct pattern. That's the perfect criteria, but that's the South Pole. This is not the South Pole. Does anybody see a little bit of a problem with that? Or can anybody explain why when you piece together all the pictures of Earth, the little pictures of Earth, when you piece them all together, and you can still navigate by that map that you piece together because it is as accurate as a picture of it, how is it that you are able to, or you're not able to return to where you started when you started?
Okay, well, what I'd say with that, first of all, two things. I mean, I'm not a pilot. This isn't my proper response, but a little bit of appealing to authority. Wolfie 6020 is an actual pilot, and I'm going to suggest, right, without any offence, that he probably has a better understanding of flight charts than people who aren't pilots. Okay, my layman response, because my layman response, because I've never used a flight chart myself, right, and I've never flown a plane myself, would be simply, let's say you take a spherical shape like an orange, right, and you peel the orange off, and then you try and lie that orange flat and turn it into a two-dimensional image. You're going to have problems, aren't you? So if you're looking at a two-dimensional screen and you're trying to exactly, so it's the problem isn't with the fact that you can turn 90 degrees twice and end up at the South Pole. The problem is how you're transferring a three-dimensional spherical shape to a two-dimensional iPad or piece of paper. And I'd say that's
we're talking about
causing you confusion.
We're talking about flights. We're not talking about ships or truck routes. We're talking about the third dimension of depth and height. We're able to use the third dimension over a 2D map because that's reality. Looking down at Earth from an airplane, it looks like a 2D map directly underneath you. The picture of Earth from the projections is the same thing you see above the Earth looking down. Like, that's exactly, if you could see through all the clouds or whatever it is, that's the same thing. It's just little pictures of the Earth. Here's a picture, here's a picture, here's a picture. They are all accurate. There's none of them that are not accurate because you can get where the hell you're going using them. So if they're all accurate and you can get where you're going by using them, but you can't get where you're going by using a globe, otherwise everybody would be using a globe and they wouldn't have to make distortions, then how is it that when you've got a picture, a literal picture, literally a picture of this part of the Earth, 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 and this part of the Earth, this one contains the South Pole, how is it that you're gonna just skip over logic and say, oh, well, I'm not a pilot, I'm just a science teacher, I'm just a lowly science teacher. Like, I have respect for just science teachers. I would think that you'd be able to explain that real quick. It's not a hard thing to do. You're looking at a picture, it's accurate.
You're right.
Why isn't it?
Okay, so here's the thing. Accurate. When you're saying that you look, so here's the thing. When you're saying you look down at the when you're in a plane, look at the ground and it looks flat. Yeah, places locally, right, very locally, will look flat. But the fact is, when you do build that big picture up, right, you can't build it up into a two-dimensional shape. The fact is, like we've just established with the Polaris question, it builds up into a circle. You can't lay out two-dimensional printouts of a piece of paper and expect to have the same, geometry and expect to have no sort of distortion of that three-dimensional shape if you lay it out as a two-dimensional shape on the floor. Try it with you could do it. You can take an orange peel, right, and you can take that orange apart and you can press it on the ground and you won't be able to do it.
You're doing it backwards, bro. What that is if you were to take pictures of Earth, or take the sectionals, create a map of Earth using just the sectionals, then try to wrap that around a ball, you're going to end up with a bunch of missing flight charts because they're going to be where the folds are. And it's funny because there are a bunch of missing flight charts when you try to find all the published flight charts. Imagine that.
But what I'll say is, right, Wolfie's a pilot and he knows what he's talking about. Secondly, even if there was some sort of conspiracy and all the flight charts in the world were wrong, we're talking about scientific evidence, like I'll present in a minute, that talks about the shape of the Earth. I tell you what, I'm happy to give you this. You can have that one, right? So it's 2-1 to you. That's fine, right? You can have that.
Sure, because I can talk about this all day. I've been really wanting everybody to really understand that. So
no, you can have it. I don't agree with it, and I don't agree with that. And I think other than appealing to authority and saying, well, actual pilots know what they're talking about, and because you don't understand what I'm talking about, taking a 3D shape and turning it into a 2D shape, I think we'll be all night if I don't just give you that.
Well, okay, I understand that though. Like I'm saying, if you were to take the pictures that you laid out, which are now you can navigate by all those pictures, whether or not you add a bunch together or not, those are accurate pictures. They're just pictures. Like there's nothing different. Like if you were to map the world using actual photography, take a picture, replace the maps with the pictures. That is what I'm talking about. You don't have to be a pilot. You don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist. It's just that's the way it is. That's the picture of Earth. Like, that's it.
Okay.
So, all right, I'll take it.
Let me ask you a question.
Let's go next.
Right, let me ask you a question before we move on, because I'm going to